right, let's dive right into this explainer and break down a truly intense matchup, the 2026 World Cup quarterfinal between France and Morocco. You know, when you reach the last 8 teams of a tournament like this, every single touch of the ball carries the weight of an entire nation. But this specific game, it had a totally different kind of electricity in the air. Today, we're going to deconstruct exactly how this match unfolded on the pitch, looking at the tactical setups, the pivotal moments, and the sheer individual brilliance that ultimately decided who punched their ticket to the semifinals.
So the big question hanging over the stadium was this: can an exhilarating ambassador for an entire continent overcome the weight of history? Before a single whistle is even blown, you really had to appreciate the immense emotional and historical context here. I mean, we were looking at the ultimate David versus Goliath scenario.
Section 1. The weight of history. To really understand how this match played out, we first need to look at the immense pressure surrounding both of these squads as they walked out of the tunnel.
There is just such a stark contrast in the identities of these two teams. On one side, you've got France. They are lavishly talented, visibly bonded, and completely used to these high-stakes knockout games. And history was heavily favoring them. In half a dozen previous attempts, Morocco had literally never beaten them. If you were looking at it coldly and logically, it was honestly hard to see past the French squad. But then on the other side, Morocco absolutely refused to be intimidated. They stepped up as this fearless, exhilarating ambassador for their entire continent, totally dialed in on the 90 minutes ahead of them.
Now, what's fascinating is that both managers knew exactly what was at stake, and they fiercely resisted the urge to tinker or overthink things. France fielded 10 of their 11 starters from the previous match. The only minor tweak was starting Doué over Barcola, which was really a direct reward for the incredibly positive impact he had off the bench against Paraguay. And for Morocco, exact same story. They had a similar gap between games and leaned heavily on their familiar, tightly bonded lineup. This was definitely not the time for wild experiments, you know. This was a game of two established, confident identities colliding head-on.
Moving on to Section 2, the Moroccan resistance. Let's head down to the pitch and see how this built into just an incredible display of resilience from the Moroccan defense.
France came out swinging, applying this massive, rapid-fire pressure right out of the gate, but Morocco just kept finding a way to survive. In the early minutes, Kylian Mbappé burst through the defense with that trademark acceleration of his, but he actually hits the post. Then, moments later, a beautiful short corner delivery finds Dayot Upamecano. He's got space, he's only a few yards out, but he totally mistimes the jump, and Moroccan goalkeeper Bono makes a massive point-blank save. And then, the huge moment. Mezraoui challenges Mbappé in the box. The ref points to the spot. Penalty given. The whole stadium just holds its breath. But Bono correctly guesses the direction and saves Kylian Mbappe's penalty kick. No way, right? It was an absolute barrage from Les Bleus, met head-on by a Moroccan brick wall.
We are so used to seeing Mbappé be utterly ruthless in front of goal, but as the commentary noted during that stadium-shaking moment, his penalty was uncharacteristically limp. Maybe the delay before the kick got to his head a bit. It was very reachable. But hey, take nothing away from Yassine Bounou here. He read the situation perfectly, got down sharply, and kept his team in the fight when it looked absolutely certain that France was about to take the lead.
Honestly, it was going to take something absolutely extraordinary to finally crack this defense. Bono was having a phenomenal tournament, scrambling across his line and commanding the box at full stretch all game long. You couldn't lay the blame at the keeper's feet for sure. He was the unquestioned anchor of this resistance, and he forced France to dig incredibly deep to find an answer.
Which brings us to Section 3, a milestone for Mbappé. This is the exact fraction of a second where the Moroccan resistance finally shattered.
20. Think about that for a second. 20 World Cup goals for Kylian Mbappé. It's a truly historic milestone, and he delivered it right when his country needed him the absolute most. This match was so tight, it needed something incredibly special to break the deadlock, and of course, it came from the man most likely to produce absolute magic on the global stage.
The shot itself was just pure, undeniable accuracy from a player who absolutely insists on owning his moment. Instead of just trying to overpower the ball, Mbappé fires this irrepressible shot right around the side of the defender. Because of how it's positioned, Bono is completely blind to it until it curls around the defender's body, and by then, it's way too late. The deadlock was broken by pure, calculated precision. Now for Section 4, Dembélé seals the deal. Because, as we know, elite teams don't just score once. They have this terrifying ability to take the game completely away from you in a painfully short space of time. Let's break down the anatomy of this second goal. because it is a textbook execution of devastating tactical flow. First, we see this elite movement on the ball from Michael Olise. He's running directly at the defense, causing absolute panic. That leads straight into step 2, a beautifully gliding pass that completely disrupts the Moroccan shape. And finally, step 3. Ousmane Dembele hits the bottom corner with absolute precision and certainty. He finds that far left-hand corner, leaving zero doubt. It was incredible, swift teamwork that essentially ended Moroccan hopes right then and there.
Finally, Section 5, the final verdict. As the final whistle approached, the reality of the situation really began to set in for both the players on the pitch and the fans in the stands.
Despite a genuinely valiant effort and some late pushes from players like Onahi, who, to be fair, actually forced Mike Maignan into some real work in the French goal, the physical and psychological fatigue just seeped into the Moroccan squad. Like the quote says, they crashed into the sheer realization of the mountain they were trying to climb. It was a true testament to France's ruthless, undeniable efficiency.
So, to wrap it all up, the final score, France 2, Morocco 0. France advances to the semifinals. And the key differentiator? France's individual gems. Guys like Mbappé, Dembélé, and Olise. They simply provided way too much sheer quality and points of difference for a brave, highly organized Moroccan side to contain. Didier Deschamps definitely knows his good fortune in coaching these special players, as he marshals yet another semi-final run.
As France marches confidently deeper into the World Cup, it leaves us with one glaring question. With their individual points of difference proving so overwhelming, is there any team left capable of stopping Les Bleus? Can their cold, logical dominance actually be disrupted, or are we just watching a team of destiny executing perfectly when it matters most? We'll have to keep an eye on those tactics as the tournament progresses. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.